Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this Wrestlepalooza review and opinions video. Now, I want to try and get to all 74 comments, right? So we're going to need to move quite quickly, of course. I am also dealing with a copyright issue on the Talking Points video. So at the moment, I'm having to kind of work through that. I'm just watching as that is kind of taking out some footage that was shown that WWE aren't happy with being shown. So yeah, there's a few dramas going on right now. Not that many dramas when it came to Wrestlepalooza, was there? I think the lack of surprises kind of really hurt this show. Obviously, we were joking around at the end as people seemed to be really down on the effort, really down on the show. And we were joking around saying it wasn't that bad and everything. But of course, we were joking. I don't think this was terrible, though. I mean, I would stand up and defend this show. I think the middle part of the show is okay. I think the start was a bit rough. I personally don't care about Brock, Cena. I probably should, but I've made it very clear that Brock Lesnar coming back just does not interest me. My feelings on that have not moved or changed. So to me, if Brock wins, if Brock loses, I just wasn't bothered, right? I don't think this is a match that we needed for John Cena's retirement tour. I feel even stronger about that now that the match has happened. My understanding is this is one and done, so I just don't think we're going to go back to this, right? I mean, if you really want to bring Brock Lesnar back, I would rather you just brought him back at the Royal Rumble and didn't actually bring him back here to do this match. Because I agree, we just don't need this. Cena didn't need this. This does absolutely nothing for Cena. You could make the argument that this gives Brock a bit of a boost. But to be honest, I think the reason why we did this match is shallow. I think it's because they wanted Brock on this Wrestlepalooza cards. I think they wanted to show the fans of ESPN that we have got Brock Lesnar. He is a legit badass. You might call wrestling fake. You might not want to give it any attention, but how can you say that about Brock Lesnar? And honestly, I think that is the reason why he wrestled on this show. So I don't know what we do with him going forward. I don't know if he's going to appear at Survivor Series. I certainly don't expect him to be at Crown Jewel. He could be at Survivor Series. After that, maybe the Rumble. But yeah, this has done nothing for John. You guys were really down on it with the score. It just got a good rating, but it was quite low. Unsurprising, to be honest. I mean, you only had to look in the chat and you could see how upset and annoyed people were with this result. And I have read a couple of really interesting things. There's been a few people saying, like, what did you expect? It's Brock Lesnar. He destroyed a prime John Cena back in 2014. Like, why would you think now that it would be any different? And I suppose, like, I can kind of answer that by saying, well, John started off a bit slow this year, but actually a lot of people, I think, would agree that his best 2 matches, or his best 3 matches, have been his most recent 3 matches. Kind of feels like he's got rid of that ring rust, and it feels like he's up and running now. Feels like he's got back into a groove. Brock Lesnar has been away for over 2 years. Brock Lesnar, as we know, has been caught up in the Janelle Grant stuff, and he has not been wrestling. And so it's not that hard to imagine that Brock would struggle the longer the match goes on. I mean, you could have Brock Lesnar looking amazing in the early stages of this match, and John Cena just trying to weather that storm. And as the match goes on, Brock could have tired. John could have got a couple of AAs. Brock just really struggling to kick out. Have commentary put over the fact that Brock just looks a little bit out of sorts, probably from being out of the ring for as long as what he has. And you could have found a way of getting John the win. I mean, I don't think that it was a given that Brock was winning this. The bookies and a lot of the fans had John Cena as the favourite. It's his retirement tour. Could have been a nice way of giving John a win back, considering he got so massacred in that match in 2014. Could have been nice to have just given him that, but yeah, we didn't. And I can understand why people were down on it, right? I can understand why people feel the way they feel. So, but for me, as I said, because it's Brock and I'm just not really engaged with Brock at the moment, I just don't care. I don't care about him being back. I wasn't bothered which way this went, right? So no tears from me. I do think that it was a bit of a flat way to start the show, though. You could tell that for those that did care, it kind of took the energy out of the room. Then we did Usos against The Vision, and I think there might be an argument this was the worst match. I really struggled with this, and I think it's very hard for me to put my finger on as to why. I think for some reason I struggle with Braun and Bronson anyway. I watch them in a lot of Raw main events and I don't find them engaging. I don't find them compelling or interesting. I just find them these two guys that go around just, beating people up. And there really is nothing more to them than that. I did like Big Bronson Reed when he was a solo star. I think I've always sort of struggled with Bron Breakker. I just don't connect with him. I just don't find myself caring about him. And I would even include his time in NXT into that. I mean, there was definitely times where I did enjoy his work, but I've never been a crazy fan. I've never been massively into his work. So I think for me, that was just a bit of a challenge, and it's been a bit of a challenge since the Vision started. And then on the other side, of course, you got the Usos. We didn't really do anything in regards to Jay turning. There wasn't really anything there. Not that I detected anyway. And I thought having LA Knight involved as the special guest ref was just an absolute nonsense. I really hate when wrestling does that. If you want to say this match is too big, that's too explosive for a normal referee to kind of be in charge of, right? First of all, I think that's rubbish. But, okay, then put a wrestler in there. But literally any wrestler other than LA Knight who has got issues with certain people, right? I mean, he's too invested, he's too involved. Like, he's not going to call it down the middle. So it just seems like a nonsense. And, for me, that kind of really doesn't help build the matchup. So, and then, of course, like, he starts letting tables get involved and chairs get involved. And you sort of feel like, what are we even doing here? Like, this match is a bit of a nonsense anyway, and now it's getting even more of a nonsense. So, again, that's just another barrier preventing me from caring. I mean, I do think it's good that the Vision get a win over the Usos, but it's such a weird exception of a match. I mean, how much weight does it carry? How much weight does it carry? I mean, the Vision beat the Usos in a match that had chairs and tables when it shouldn't have, and in a match where LA Knight was the special guest referee, So for me, it's not much to brag about. It's, again, throwaway. So I think the start of this was a real struggle. I actually, at this point, thought we were on track for one of the worst PLEs of the year. Thank you, Iyo. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, I would say, pretty much everything that follows. Because for me, this really saves the show, picks up my score from this point now. So, Iyo, Stephanie, easily the best match of the night. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was up there with some of the other great matches of the year. But I think Iyo, Stephanie really do deliver. Obviously, I've got my concerns with Stephanie having her shoulders down for the pin. I know it's not a massive deal, but it was such a shame because in that moment, I'm looking and wondering, are they doing this on purpose? Am I meant to be noticing that her shoulders are down? Are we honestly going to do a screwy finish where, like, Stephanie wins and maybe another ref comes down and says, no, the replay shows Stephanie's shoulders? Like, are we doing some nonsense? I mean, we weren't. And Stephanie wins, but because she had kind of pinned Iyo whilst her shoulders were down at the same time, that was the thought that was going through my mind whilst the pin was happening. And so it did distract me from the moment of Stephanie winning. That could just be a me thing. I'm not saying everyone had that thought process, but I had that thought process, and it did take away from the end. So if you want to find little reasons as to why, this maybe didn't reach the heights of Iyo Rhea, that would be an example as to why. I just think the overall match just wasn't as compelling. I think they had a lot more work to do following a very, very rocky start to the show. They had a lot of weight of expectation on their shoulders, and I thought they did really, really well. So you lot said it was great. 81, Stephanie, of course, getting the victory. Then we had Becky and Seth against AJ and CM Punk. For me, this was too long. I think that's my headline. My headline is it was too long. Everything was too long. I think they put too much stuff in there. I think they really wanted this to be a showcase that AJ has still got it. She can hang. She can work. Rather than go and put in 50-odd%, she's going to put in 200. But I just didn't think the match benefited. There was just too much that didn't really go anywhere. There was too much stuff where, people putting on sharpshooters on each other, people putting on Black Widows on each other, and it just didn't really go anywhere. I just felt like I was watching things happening that weren't really adding to the drama so much. I mean, I was getting excited wondering, is this the finish? But after a while you go, when is this going to finish? You know, is this the finish? Is this the finish? Is this the finish? I feel like I go through about 10 minutes of my brain going, is this where it finishes? Is this the finish? Is this the finish? You can make the argument, well, don't do that. Just watch the show, watch the match, enjoy it for what it is. But I don't know. For me, it was too long, and I was just getting to the point where I was just hoping it was the finish then, which is a real shame, honestly. AJ, I think her striking does need work. She kind of came in and, I don't know, there was a little bit of this going on, and I didn't think her striking looked very good. Hopefully that's something that she can tidy up and improve and tighten. Hopefully she goes back, watches the match, identifies the areas that she wants to kind of improve on. Obviously really good cardio. Brilliant with the Black Widow. I mean, she had the Black Widow on a couple of times and applied for quite a long time. So, I mean, she's being stretched out and, do you know what I mean? Like, she's really being put through the ringer. So one thing I would say about AJ is physically she seems to be in a pretty good place. She took a few bumps. That commentary table bump, for example, was a hell of a bump. And, you know, she took a few bumps in the ring as well. But yeah, I could easily shave time off this. I don't know how long the match went for. I could easily get 5 minutes out of it. Maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 10, right? You lot said it was great, 72. I think there's a lot of love for AJ. I think there's a lot of goodwill for AJ. And I think as a result, that really helps carry the score. But even with that goodwill, even with all of that, it still couldn't beat Iyo against Stephanie, right? Then we got to our main event, Cody versus Drew. I don't mind Cody retaining. I thought that's what was going to happen. It's just there was a question with it closing out the show. Could we get Randy? Could we get Jericho? I didn't think we would get Jericho. I did say that beforehand. I don't think his contract has expired. But could we get The Rock? I did think there was a chance that we could get The Rock. This was our first show on Wrestlepalooza. So I thought, yeah, there is a chance here that he could come out. And maybe we just get a moment between The Rock and Cody now that Cody has got that title back. Because don't forget, the last time we saw The Rock, that's when John turned. So it could be okay, where are we now? And, you know, who knows? Maybe Drew then could have beaten up Cody and it could have been revealed Drew had joined up with The Rock. But this is the problem. When you fantasy book, you end up fantasy booking things that are better than what they have planned. So as a result, you lot were not crazy about this main event. I think it really underwhelmed, and I think part of that was the fact that no one came out after. I also think the match itself was just, I don't know, a bit flat. Cody seemed a bit off. There's that moment where he kind of stumbles, and there's just a few moments where he like grabs his head and whatever, so I don't know what all of that was about. So yeah, ring rust after 5 weeks, I don't know. Yeah, not an amazing main event. I mean, we definitely take a dip down here. But honestly, I would say it was still better than the Usos against the Vision. I would say that it was maybe better received than Brock against Cena. So, you know, okay, a dip down, definitely. But that little bit in the middle with Iyo, Stephanie, AJ, Lee coming back, you know, and there was little bits as well. Like, I genuinely love the Stephanie Hall of Fame induction. I think that's great. That Undertaker bit, I've already rewatched it and I could rewatch it a few more times. Like, I do really like that. So genuinely, I like that. I like a couple of the entrances. Obviously, Becky and Steph's entrance was really fun. Seeing Cena come out with the kids as well, that was kind of nice. So, you know, I wasn't down on that either. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, was this the bonkers crazy show that kind of Triple H had sort of hyped up? No, it just wasn't. And I can understand why people are a bit disappointed as a result, you know. So for me, how does that shake out into a score? I think it probably shakes out about 6.25, 6.5, somewhere around that ballpark. I think we can be much better than this. I think we can be much, much better than this. I do wonder if actually this show suffered because they were going to have 6 matches. One of the matches dropped off. And rather than replace it, did they just give all the other matches more time? You know, did Becky, Seth, AJ, Punk get more time as a result? And, you know, if it did, then maybe it shouldn't have. Perhaps it didn't deserve that extra time. I'm just going to have a look, actually, and see how long the matches actually went for, because I think that would be quite interesting. Then we'll get to your comments. So, actually, yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. So, if we have a look, we can see that, look at that, nearly half an hour, 29:18. Come on. 29 minutes, nearly half an hour for that CM Punk AJ. Did not need that time. There's nothing even remotely close to it. That is a good 12 minutes longer than the Vision versus the Usos. I mean, it's 21 minutes longer than Brock Cena. That is too long. You can take 10 minutes off that and it'll be more in line with these. Too long. So, yeah. 17 minutes, that's okay. 20 minutes, yeah, it was all right. You could probably take 3 minutes off that. You know, I think around the 15-minute mark for these kind of matches, but it was a title match, so 20 minutes, all right. Way too long. 17 minutes actually didn't feel like that to me. I am actually surprised to find out that was that long. So I am surprised with that. I actually think these matches might be quite close, actually. These two are, I would say, above, definitely. So, yeah, there we go. So that was WrestlePalooza. As I said, I'm going to settle at around a 6.25, 6.5. Right, let's get to your comments then, shall we? So, Kelly the Wise Lady, geez, said, this was groundbreaking, history-making. We rushed the ESPN launch to pay even more to watch. If I didn't get a free trial on Fubo and actually paid, I would have demanded my money back. There was nothing more than a Raw and a SmackDown. I didn't even realise when Pat left, so I must not like him as much as I thought. He must have thought it was a bunch of BS too. Cena Lesnar was a match filled with F5s, but Cena wanted that match, so I digress. The best match of the night by far was Stephanie Iyo. A clean finish was not on my bingo cards. I'm thrilled my girl won. I kind of wish her crowning moment would have been at Mania 42. Other than that, though, nothing really wowed me. No returns, no surprises. Stephanie's Hall of Fame was for her and not the fans. Nothing in the show lived up to expectations. Stephanie Iyo was an 8. Rest of the show a 6, and that is being generous. Did anyone else notice how fatigued Becky and AJ seemed to be when they were throwing hands? See you all on Monday. Yeah, I bet they were, because the flipping match went on forever. T-Lil said Brock and Cena was mids. Iyo Stephanie match of the night. Usos Bronze was goods. Mixed tag match was fun. And the second best match. Cody Drew was goods. Overall, very sports entertained. So T-Lil with an 8. Mackenzie said, I enjoyed it. Brock destroyed Cena. Kids were crying. Mixed tag match to me felt a bit long. Well done to Booker's favourite Stephanie for winning. To me personally, the mixed tag could have main evented instead of boring Drew and Cody. In retrospect, yes. Joey said, I kind of dozed off towards the end of the men's tag. I woke up halfway through Stephanie Iyo, but I thought it was a good show. First match was whatever. I didn't particularly care because I knew John wasn't going to win, but everything else was fire, said Joey. Mitchell said, honestly, it's extremely lackluster. I enjoyed Stephanie Iyo match. The mixed tag match was extremely overdrawn and overbooked to the point where it became boring. No surprises. The show just kind of abruptly ended. I'm going to go 6. This was an episode of Raw behind a paywall. El Patata said, Iyo Steph had a clean ending, so I won't complain about this show. Braun versus Usos was... I didn't really watch because there was nothing at stake. Mixed tag match champions looked like clowns. Mixed tag made champions look like clowns. Drew, Cody, the hesitation story needs to go. Cena was complete garbage. Overall 3. Give Julia her PLE spot. Stephanie better defend that title every day, said El Patata. Real John said, honestly, this show was extremely underwhelming. Brock did not need the win over Cena. Uso's vision just wasn't for me personally. AJ Punk versus Becky and Seth really outstayed its welcome. Stephanie versus Iyo was the best match, and the main event was purely underwhelming. So a 5, said Real John. Briggsy said Brock Cena killed the little excitement I had for this show. To be honest, I almost turned the show off after that match. They managed to bring me around with Stephanie Iyo, and the show from then on was great, but that opening match really put a downer on the show for me. So Briggsy with a 4. Wrestling Bambino said, I was watching the whole show, just waiting for something to happen, and everything was so meh. Even the stuff that I was excited for, it ended up being like, Very happy I have a cheeky way of watching it, and I did not have to pay for this. So 5, said Wrestling Bambino. OTC said for a first-time PLE on ESPN, it was a good show. Punk AJ versus Seth Becky was 5 stars. Drew deserves a rematch with a ref that won't take sides and screw him over. So overall, 825. Brady said 6. Iyo Stephanie, a great match. Congratulations to Stephanie. AJ Lee looked like she hasn't missed a step. I'm furious over the first match. What a waste of Cena's retirement tour. We could have had AJ Styles versus Cena one more time, or AJ versus a new opponent. I agree. I would have took both of those. Elite Pro Wrestling Forum said very fun open, then Brock happened. Fun tag match, good stuff. Great women's match, both killed it. Fantastic mixed tag, tons of fun, and it was match of the night. Congrats to Steph, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Good main, and I'm excited to see what's next, so an 8. Michael said Brock Cena was tough viewing. The middle 3 matches were really good. The mixed tag match should have main evented, as it is the main feud heading into the PLE, with Cody filming the Street Fighter movie. Cody Drew feud simply didn't have the proper build to headline a PLE. Rusu said 4 out of 10. I didn't like the first 2 matches. I enjoyed the mixed tag match and AJ Lee's return. I can look past certain moments. Yeah. Iyo Stephanie was amazing, like we all knew it was going to be. And Cody finally being back and wrestling made my night. Matthew said AJ Lee was incredible tonight, and no one can tell me otherwise. She was never going to be perfect after 10 years away. No one would be able to do the job perfectly if they took 10 years off and went back. So people need to cut her some slack and give her time and allow her to get back into it. Yes, I agree. I mean, I don't know kind of what the consensus has been. My complaint is more about the length of the match than anything AJ Lee did. I do think there is things she needs to tighten, and I'm sure she will do that. So no issue with AJ Lee on my part. It was actually more just the overall match being too long, and that wasn't anything to do with AJ. Daryl said Wrestlepalooza gets 675. Brock has always dominated Cena. Good to see that things have not changed. Match of the night was Iyo Steph. Close second was the mixed tag match. I feel like the only way for Cena to go now is to beat Dom and be a Grand Slam champion. See you for Raw. Daryl, see you for Raw, buds. Alex said women's title match and mixed tag were the only things to tune in for. Also, congrats to Steph. Happy for her. I went in with low expectations and it didn't even meet them, said Alex. Ryan said, I thought the show started on a low with that horrendous 5-minute squash. I think it's 8, actually. It's actually 8 minutes. It started, I'm joking. It started head up and Stephanie Iyo was great. Mixed tag was match of the night and it should have main evented because Cody Drew was bad and it ended on a low. I think this is a 7. WWE TNA New Japan AEW wrestling fan said, honestly, my hot take was that it didn't meet my expectation. I thought it was a little underwhelming. Usually it's really good. I know you don't watch AEW, but that was awesome today. I don't think that was true. Thank you, my friend. Mad Dog said, every time forwards, if Triple H said there's surprises, it's going to be flat. Why even have Brock Cena match like that? He deserved a better match than that squash. He could have had a match with Brock, but it should have been more competitive. The rest was a B show. Cameron said, I enjoyed the show. AJ Lee and Punk tag and Stephanie match were the highlights. Knowing Triple H, the surprises were Brock messing up Cena, Pat return, and Steph Hall of Fame induction. Jesse said, underwhelming for what they advertised. Cena Brock was just not good. Had some high points. Iyo Stephanie, wow. Cody Drew was decent. I feel bad for Drew and happy for Cody. Mixed tag was a lot of fun. PLE needed a lot more than what we had. Wrestling fan said, good show. A lot of surprises. Yeah, especially Iyo's knees and the leaked phone call between Wrestling Daze. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. I haven't spoke to Triple H. I don't speak to Triple H. A lot of people say I'm in with WWE and that I've got like Triple H's phone number, but that's not true. I don't speak to him. Brandon just skipped it. Just ended up going the football instead. David said, honestly, it was so underwhelming. I've watched wrestling my entire life and I love WWE. But man, it's so watered down. I feel like I've got to go in with extremely low expectations just to not be completely disappointed. 5.7, a spectacle. Big surprises. Right, Nando said, Punk matches tend to run over, and being that this was the only reason I paid $30, I wasn't mad at it. Okay, good point. I had really fun with the AJ match and the Iyo match. However, if this wasn't AJ's comeback, a show like this is far from enough to keep me paying $30 a month. Fair. Comic Book Guy said, I thought it was all right. Sherry said it was 9.5. Plum Girl said, hey Daze, hey buds. Cena Brock was disappointing, and I feel a waste of his retirement tour. Tag match was shake my head, to be honest. It was great to see AJ. I'm new to getting to know her, but she seems like she's having the best time. I'm a Cody fan, but it was okay. So a total of 7. Yeah, okay. Plum Girl, thank you. Okay, Vurik said 6 or 7 commercials. More commercials. Do you love commercials? I'm fine with the Brock Cena finish, as I know the feud isn't over. Maybe. We are clearly building to War Games. Oh, okay, yeah. Cena Brock in it. WWE played it safe in the main event as always. AJ Lee is great. Iyo Steph fire. LA heel, question mark. I didn't sense that he was heel. I mean, he didn't screw over the Usos, did he? That I've kind of missed. So I think he kind of called it down the middle. He just didn't care. That's how he called it down the middle. He didn't give a flip about anything. Anyone could do whatever they wanted. Ashton said, for ESPN's first show, they sure did a very mediocre, underwhelming job. I'm sure Disney, ESPN aren't too happy. 5.5. Taker 1990 said WrestlePalooza was a 6.75. Cena Lesnar was a dumpster fire. No purpose to that match. The Usos versus the Bronze was a Raw repeat trash match. Iyo versus Stephanie match of the night. Punk, Lee, Seth, Becky was right behind. Cody Drew was a mid-match. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, buds. Jack said, the Cena Brock match, I think, was wasted date to me. It was pointless. They could have had Cena face AJ Styles. Usos Bronze was okay. Main event was okay. Iyo Stephanie match was good. Mixed tag match was match of the night. So 6 out of 10, said Jack. John Elite said, I didn't expect Undertaker to announce Stephanie McMahon as the first Hall of Fame inductee for next year. Congrats to her. Hopefully Jay is okay after getting busted open. Awesome entrance for Becky and Seth. JJ said, it was my first WrestlePalooza. It gets better, right? We'll find out. Ryder said, 675 said, did the hype meet expectations? Nope. But I refuse to believe it was the worst PLE, the way that people are making it out. Because the mixed tag, Stephanie Iyo, was excellent. Main event was flat. How you end the show is important. It's the last thing people remember. Very true. Very true. I completely agree. Right, Canon. Thank you. Can I translate this? Because I need to. Brock Lesnar's match was like an F5 festival. AJ Lee CM Punk had AJ Lee shining. Iyo Stephanie had me expecting Asuka's interference, but I hope it becomes a setup for a big sis Asuka title grab for the future. Io's probably going to get scolded by Asuka later. And the Usos were really great. Thank you, my friends. That was cool. Canon, thank you. Chris said, Daze wasn't bad or anything like that. Triple H was on ESPN radio Friday morning saying expect surprises. I guess I have a different view of surprises than Triple H. So 6.5 based on AJ being in a match again. Even if the match went a bit long, she did put some work in on this show. Uncle Howdy Dreads said bad because I get to watch Wrestlepalooza because I watched the kickoff on ESPN and then found I had to pay $30 for a subscription. I don't think I can see a PLE again, just highlights, but I did enjoy your stream. Uncle Howdy Dreads, shout out to you, buds. Yes, I mean, for those that are having to pay that extra $30 now, it was a real blow. And actually, quite a few people were finding out they had to pay that money during our stream. And so, you know, you could see that people were very disappointed at finding that out. Doug said, complete letdown. All the matches were mid, except for Iyo and Stephanie. Mixed tag was fun, but it was just okay. The other 3 matches were all... definitely did not live up to the first time on ESPN hype. I'm definitely glad I watched... something and waited for the WWE. Doug, thank you. Just Jeff said 6.5 could have bedazzled a little more. Blake said 7. The intergender tag and the women's heavyweight championship match were my favorites. Parts Unknown said I was watching and it cut off all of a sudden to go to a Wyoming football game and there was no way of getting it back. Really? I've not heard anyone else say this, so that's really interesting. Bat Ruler said, didn't watch out of 10. I respect your honesty. Kid said it was... I only enjoyed the Stephanie Iyo match, CM Punk and AJ match, and the others weren't that great. Where was the surprise Papa H? Cobra said Cena match. Best match was Stephanie Iyo. Nice to see AJ back. Everything else was and didn't live up to expectation that Triple H set. The big surprise, Steph, I guess. Ending was completely flat and terrible, whilst also making Drew look weak. 4 out of 10, but loved the stream. Thank you, Cobra. Wyatt McFarlane said bar Stephanie winning and the mixed tag, brackets, even that felt too long. Everything else was poor. I see the long-term storytelling though with the Vision, teaming with Drew and Brock for War Games. Could be against Cena, Cody, Punk, Roman, Jay, who could potentially turn heel on the other team. Robert said, didn't watch and I want my $30 back. Ads said awful pay-per-view. Even the mixed tag match was awful. So many sloppy moves and botches. The only reason it's getting praise is AJ's return. And I'm sorry, but she was terrible. Rushed return, rushed pay-per-view, no actual plans. Sooner I forget, the better, said Ads. Wrestling fan since day one said Wrestlepalooza was good. The only 2 matches for me personally that were amazing was Iyo, Stephanie, and AJ, CM Punk, Seth, Becky. The others were okay. The show gets 5. Naked knees Iyo. Have a good night, Daze. Yeah, and you, buds. I still haven't recovered from seeing Iyo naked knees Sky. Logan gives it a 4. Timmy the Man V2 said only 2 good matches, AJ Lee and CM Punk, and the Iyo match after that wasn't very great. Usos could have been better, in my opinion. Same with John and Brock. I would better watch WrestleMania 2025 than this. Oh, you'd rather watch WrestleMania. That wasn't great this year, for those that don't know. So 4 out of 10. Connor said, I really enjoyed Wrestlepalooza. Brock dismantling Cena to pieces, and at the end, the kids started crying. The mixed tag match was all right between Punk, AJ, Seth, Becky. Congrats on Stephanie winning. No Asuka at all. Main event was good. Congrats to Steph. I'll go 5.5. Does that match, though, Connor? You said you really enjoyed Wrestlepalooza, but it only gets a 5.5. That's lower than me, to be honest. So I was, when I read that, I was expecting that to be like a 8.5 or something. 7.5. So yeah, interesting. Robbie said first 2 matches were just not it. Congratulations to La Primera. The reign of the Dark Angel has begun. Way to go, AJ. You still rule. Haters gonna hate. Ass main event. I am so sick of mid Cody. Triple H is a goddamn liar. Score 475. Raymond said, hello, Daze. I thought Wrestlepalooza was all right. Cena Brock match was horrible. It's the worst match I've ever seen. But the rest of the matches were good. I'm glad that Stephanie won and Cody won too. So I'll rate it 6.25. See you Monday. See you Monday, buds. Sports Entertainment fan said it was a good show for me, and it was a setup for War Games. Brock and the Vision versus Punk, Roman, Cena, LA Knight, and Cody. Kins said, glad I used a VPN, honestly. I hated the opener and the main event. They wasted a John Cena appearance, in my opinion. Best match of the night was definitely Iyo, Stephanie, and the mixed tag. Such a fun match. So nice to have AJ back. She absolutely killed it. Kiki gives it 5 out of 10, as does Prain, who said, horrendous of a show. I hated it. Except the AJ Lee, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Becky. But that's it. Rest of it was just not it for me. Jason said, I'll keep watching Daze streams. I enjoy his content, but watching WWE, I don't know. The show for me was pretty bad. Steph and Iyo match was good. Great that Steph is going into the Hall of Fame. I think WWE should have gone to ESPN at a later time. And what surprises. Big 4 out of 10. Jason, shout out to you. Reese says mid. Johnny Nass said terrible, waste of time, product is stale, Brock and Stephanie match were the only ones worth watching, Cody is part of killing the product. Ooh. I'm Asmi said BS, absolute ass. Is that a 2 out of 10 or a -2? To be honest, it's a low score either way. Tall Guy said, I got one thing to say. People are saying Brock, Cena, dog shiz and a waste. Well, you're not John. John wanted Brock. I don't think that's true, though, is it? I don't think that's true. I know Triple H came out and said that we're working through a list, but then John came out and said, I just deal the hand that I'm served. So he seemed to sort of suggest he didn't want Brock. So I honestly don't know that that's true. You can't say it's a waste because you're not John Cena. I personally love Cena getting destroyed. The Wrestling God said, besides the WWE fans in the United States complaining about Brock Lesnar jobbing out John Cena, the $30 a month pricing for the ESPN streaming service, and there not being any major surprises, I will score this a 9. Kayla said, I'm glad I didn't go to the show. Drew should have won, as well as Seth, Becky. AJ Lee is a joke. Oh, that hurt a little, you know. That actually... Ooh. Punk looked horrible tonight with her. The Usos losing sucked, but it was a decent match. Iyo Stephanie was the best match tonight. Cena's match was not a match, but a beating and stupid. 2 out of 10. Thank you, dog mom Kayla. John says 5. Aquatic said C+ tier max. Dylan said great show. Cena Brock was okay. Felt too quick. Uso's vision was okay. Still wonder what made Jay bleed. Same. Iyo Stephanie was match of the night for me. CM Punk AJ Lee match was great. She looked great. Glad she got the win. Main event was decent. 7.5. So Dylan, thank you. Matt said after watching All Out, Wrestlepalooza seemed like the lesser of the two. Well, I can't comment, but in my mind, it was the better show. That Deaf Gamer said, I don't, because I couldn't watch it. Thank you. Dominic said, to quote Matt Walst, what a time to be alive. Such a waste of effing time. In other words, I did not like this at all. Thank you. Steve says 5. Michael says ass. Harry said, I'd be peeved as hell if I paid money to watch it. Hell, I watched it for free, and I'm still disappointed. Agent HD is putting it in the trash. Who Geek 2 said no confidence in Triple H. Stephanie is only being inducted next year because Triple H knows he's on his way out and he wants to induct his wife before he leaves. That is a really interesting thought. His job can't be secure with the quality of the current product. That's really interesting. I've retweeted that. Not because I think he is on his way out, but because was that his thought process? Let me get Stephanie in whilst I've got some sort of say in the matter. I think you could be right. Cody, awesome. Punk, AJ, awesome. But first match made my soldier's wifey very angry. So thank you, my friends. And Ring the Bell Wrestling said, okay. Book ended by 2 average matches. Brock winning was main event solid, but why was it main event? Because it was the title match. Match of the night is close between the mixed tag Iyo Stephanie. I'm just going to go mixed tag. I'm happy that the division won. Now let them destroy the tag division. Overall, 6-7-5. There we go. Wow. A bit of anger. I'd say a lot of anger. A lot of disappointment. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the headline is just not good enough. I mean, however you want to carve it up, just not good enough. And I think there's definitely things in there. You know, there were a few people saying 2 and 3 and things like that. But by and large, most people 5, 6, yeah? So there clearly was appreciation for Stephanie Iyo. There clearly was appreciation for that mixed tag match, even though I felt it went long and some of you felt it went long as well. But yeah, okay, on we move, on we roll. No problems. Let's see what they've got for us on Monday. The build now starts for Crown Jewel and finding out what's next. What's next for AJ, for example? What's next for Stephanie? What's next for Cody? What's next for Brock? What's next for John Cena? So, you know, the show never stops. On we go. Hopefully, they can give us a good Raw on Monday just to take a little bit of that bad taste out of the mouth. So, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it. And I will see you hopefully Monday for Monday Night Raw. Bye for now.